Hi, I'm Keap Mask, and on the Conquer the Chaos podcast, I talk with inspiring business owners about what it takes to build a great business and a great life. That means more money, more time, more control, more impact, more freedom. So keep listening to hear the tough lessons they learned so you don't have to repeat them. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Conquer the Chaos podcast. I am Keap Mask, your host, co-founder and CEO of Keap, and I'm really excited because today we're going to get to go deep with a mad scientist. We're going to talk with someone who knows more about automation for small businesses than I think about anybody else I know. Someone who has worked for Keap for many, many years, back when we were called Infusionsoft. He's worked as a partner. He's worked with so many different influencers and folks who know how to apply automation in a small business. And so we're definitely going to talk about key number 5, automation, in terms of the 6 keys to success. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest today, Paul Sokol. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing great, Clayton. Thanks so much for having me. This has been a long time coming. I'm very excited to be sitting here with you in these blue chairs.
I'm excited to have you here too. So tell everybody, why are you the mad scientist?
Man, so I'm the mad scientist because I've been using automation in my small business since 2008. I don't know if you remember my buddy Flywheel back in the day.
Yes.
But we did a video email company in graduate school, and that's where I first got exposed to CRMs and doing automation. And we were part of the first CMAC program back in like 2009.
I totally forgot about Flywheel. That's right.
Yeah, so that's where I cut my teeth on that. And then I ended up working for Infusionsoft as a coach directly, starting in 2011, and then helped about 200 people get started with the software. Then I got pulled into product, and then that's really where everything started ramping up as far as learning how to do automation and mastering automation at scale. That's where I wrote the Infusionsoft cookbook, which, did you know Michelle Bell just released the Keap cookbook?
Oh, did you really? That's awesome.
Yeah, so the next generation of that's coming out, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I got to be a technical reviewer on that, and so did Jade and Heather Wells, and I think a couple other people. So
awesome.
I just got my copy in the mail, and
that's so great. The Keap cookbook. That's got a good ring to it. That's really great. Okay, we're gonna get into the cookbook stuff. We're gonna get into like how do you do and for the audience, it's probably like, well, cookbook. What is this? What it is really applying automation in very efficient ways. So you're doing the creation of automation in a very efficient way. So you're doing pre-built things, proven things that work, and this goes years back to what you were doing as a implementer of our software, as a coach to a couple hundred customers over a period of time. You saw what worked over and over and over. And then we said, hey, well, why don't you move into the product team and help us package up some of these things and make them available to customers? And so you did that. That was the original Infusionsoft cookbook.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We did the campaign of the month where every month we were releasing. And the cool thing about it is it wasn't these wild, big campaigns. It was really kind of simple, but they solved a problem.
Yeah.
And they solved it efficiently, and they got you well over 80% of the way there. You could just use it right out of the box.
Yep.
And if you wanted to expand upon it, you had that framework that was there.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun to research that, to develop it, and of course to test it to make sure that when it launched that support didn't hate me.
Yeah.
Because, there's a difference between building a campaign and then building a campaign that 1,000 people are going to use all at once.
Yep.
And it's a very subtle art to get that.
So we're going to get into this, but for a lot of people in the audience, you're probably like, okay, well, automation, what does that really mean? I don't know if like talking to a mad scientist is going to help me a lot. Let me tell you why we're going to have this conversation. Because some people are going to go deep in automation and they're going to be like, oh, I totally want to talk to the mad scientist. And that's great. And we're going to draw out some of that. But it's also the years and the experience that you've had to make it very practical, very accessible for people to be like, look, you don't have to be a mad scientist in order to get the benefits of automation. And so to me, the expertise that you have and the day-to-day product usage converge with these proven automations that you've created over the years, which we're now doing more and more of. And for those who are not aware, we've created the capability now at Keap to where our partners can package all of that up in a special edition for their clients. And so now with what we call Solution Launchpad, you as a customer don't have to know nearly as much about how to create the automation, all that stuff. You can just get something that our partners created and use it in a way that's very specific and natural to you. So that's something I'm really excited about. And it takes what you did years ago to a whole new level, enables people who have great expertise like you to package it up for others.
Yeah, the work with the Solution Launchpad has been fantastic because not only can we package up all of the automations, we can package up almost any asset of the system. So it's not just an automation model. If you just want to push a couple of custom data fields over or a particular tagging nomenclature or like pipelines, that was something that was really hard to do before with the previous campaign publishing. But what most excites me about the Solution Launchpad is the plays and the playbook. Because there's a difference between giving somebody a campaign and then getting them to actually publish it and to use it. And with the plays, that's exactly what we give them, which that was a huge missing component. And that was part of what I did many years ago. There would always be a help center article that paired with the campaign that walked you through, here's the steps to do it. And now that's just built into it.
And you can be built into it. You can actually put your plays into it. You can put your video into it. You can give the coaching, the guidance. It's all all of you can package all of that up and serve it up to the customer. So when they log in, it just guides them right there.
Yeah. I like to use the analogy of a video game where it's like the stuff you're pushing is like the cartridge and then the plays are the instruction manual. And before we never really had the instruction manual or it had to happen externally or something like that. But now we can, like you said, we can upload videos as part of the plays. The specific checklists are awesome. And there's even content plays to help you write the copy, which copywriting is hard. There's just no way around it. Even if you're really good at it, it still takes time. So having content plays is a big win. So
yeah, totally. I love both the Solution Launchpad generally and how you can package it up, but then the coaching portal, the playbook, the way you can guide customers. And it's really fun watching people who have expertise like you apply that and then serve it up to customers. So that, let's take kind of a big step back. When we think about the 6 keys to success, and key number 5 is automation, as we say all the time, it's the great game changer for small business because it gets you out of the world of trading hours for dollars. It enables you to replicate yourself, to actually get stuff done while you're sleeping, while you're on vacation, while you're taking care of another customer, while you're doing whatever else, because automation's working for you in the background. I'd love to hear how you have discovered more and more over time how to actually make that come alive for customers, the automation, because it's such a technical thing that people sometimes don't, like, they think it's out of their reach. They think somebody else does that. They have a hard time maybe even believing the benefits of growth and profit and freedom that come from applying automation. So what lessons have you learned as you've worked with clients or as you've practiced it yourself to see the growth, the profit and freedom that comes from automation?
So I believe that automation at its core is relationships at scale. And so when you
relationships at scale, that's a great way to say it.
So because if I'm going to go ahead and book a call with you and I'm going to, instead of going back and forth, I can say, here's a calendar link. And now I can book calls with 5 clates instead of the individual one-on-one things. Or like if we're doing follow up on a sales proposal, I can send you the proposal and then I can touch base with you periodically if I haven't heard from you.
Through automation.
Through automation. And so getting to the relationships at scale part, it's what I've discovered. It's all about the milestones and taking people from like the main things that need to happen. And that's what you automate around. And sometimes the things that you're automating around are still manual. It's still something that has to happen. Like you sometimes still have to produce a proposal, but you can use automation and enable yourself to all the stuff around the proposal. That's what gets streamlined and dialed in. So maybe we're producing 10 proposals and following up with all these people, whereas before maybe you could only handle maybe 2 or so at once.
So the relationships at scale concept combined with automating at certain milestones, getting, clearing those things, that really resonates with me. I remember, years ago as I was doing sales work and working a pipeline, there were kind of very specific there were specific milestones through the funnel that I knew we kind of had to clear. You get past a certain set of questions and then they go back and they come back and then they go back and ask questions internally and they come back and they've got this new thing. You kind of hit these certain milestones. It was like, oh, okay, we got past that objection. And now we're ready to have the conversation about them back then, buying our software. And so you see these milestones, and the natural tendency is we put a lot of human work and effort, time and effort around those milestones. There's phone calls that go into that. There's emails, there's follow-ups, and unfortunately, there's a lot of breakdowns in that process that don't happen. So I've always described it to people as it's fixing your follow-up breakdowns, fixing the follow-up failures. But I really like the scale, relationships at scale, because I think about conversations I've had with customers over the years, and they've said different lines that are like that. They've said, oh, this enables me to have relationships with hundreds of customers instead of dozens of customers. Hey, this enables me to go deep in my understanding of a particular client because of the way that I'm able to engage with them with custom fields and doing things like that. So it resonates with me, relationships at scale. And I really like your point about the milestones and how you automate through those milestones.
Yeah. So like you were talking about like proven automations, right? So one of the most common proven marketing automations is the idea of a lead magnet, where you give away something of value for free, and that builds your list, and then that can feed the sales conversation. And so that's really like a 2 milestone kind of thing. The first milestone is people request the thing. So they fill out a landing page, or maybe they text in a number, or they're at an event and they talk to you at a booth. And then the next milestone is actually downloading the thing. And that's where I see a difference between like amateurs and the professionals is they skip that. They'll have somebody request a lead magnet and then immediately just go into the sales pitch. And all they've done is deliver one email that says, hey, here's your thing. And then they just start drilling you. But that's not how that would work in real life. If I were to send you a book, for example, I would want to make sure, hey, did you get the book yet?
Right.
Have you seen it? Oh, it hasn't shown up in the mail yet? Okay, cool. Hey, I'll talk to you again in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then once you get the book, what'd you think about it? Did you like it? Cool. Now let's go ahead and talk about building this out for you, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And that's the relationships at scale. And so the difference between like good automation and bad automation, in my opinion, is people use automation to try and sidestep or abdicate the relationship, when really it should be the exact opposite. If you're automating, if you wouldn't do it in real life, you shouldn't automate it.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it.
Then you just get weirdness at scale.
Right. If you wouldn't do it in real life, then you shouldn't automate it, because then you just get weirdness at scale. Yeah, and it's the relationship, it's building that relationship, slowing it down, noticing, well, what normally would happen through a series of emails, phone calls, conversations, and then putting that into the automation so that you're bringing you're nurturing the relationship and bringing it along in a natural course, but you're not there doing it. It's happening for you because you've thought about it beforehand. And now you can do that for each person that comes into your funnel and do relationships at scale.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where things like timing are really handy. And so a real human isn't always going to email every single day at like 8 a.m. That's just not how it works. If I was inviting you to a party, let's say, actually it is Monday right now when we're recording this. So, hey, Clay, come out to my party on Sunday. And if I don't hear from you by like Thursday, maybe as a human, I'll just remember, oh yeah, I haven't heard back from Clay. Let me go ahead and text him, and I do that in the afternoon. And then it's Saturday, and I'm getting ready for my party, and I still haven't heard from Clay yet. So maybe it's noon when I'm doing this, and I hit you at noon. That's the kind of automation that you would want to build. So like for the lead magnet, of course you can immediately deliver that, but then if they still haven't downloaded it 3 days after the fact in the morning, then you can go send a reminder. Hey, I noticed that you requested this database structure planning tool or whatever.
Right.
Go ahead and check it out. And then if they still haven't downloaded it in 4 days, maybe you hit them in the afternoon. Hey, good afternoon. This is my last reminder to go ahead and get this thing.
Right.
That's another thing too. The devil's in the details with good automation. It's very subtle. So like if you send an email at 5 p.m., open it with good afternoon. If you're sending it in the morning, hey, good morning. And that it sells the relationship, not because we're trying to mislead, but because that's what you would actually do.
Right.
When I'm writing an email in the morning, I'm like, hey, good morning, Susie. That's what you want to inject into your automation.
I think that point of what you would actually do is something I want to press on for a second, because it is what you do. You're doing it. You're anticipating and expecting. You know your customer so well. You know what the relationship is. And I remember going through this when I was doing sales years ago. I was like, I know exactly what has to happen. And but it takes time. It takes energy to do that. And so you can only do so much of it. But if you stop and slow it down and say, well, look, here's what needs to happen. Now let me automate that. I think some people feel like, oh, that you're taking out the personal touch. No, the personal touch is there. You know them so well because you know what they're going through. And there's something that's really gratifying about when you build out automation and the customer's like, man, it's like you're reading my mind. You know exactly what's going on. Yes, exactly. Because we've been through this over and over and over. But I think some people sometimes have a little bit of a hang up on doing the automation because they think it's not authentic, when actually I look at it and say, no, it's totally authentic. You know your customer so well that you can actually anticipate what the process is that they're going to go through. And you leave just enough flexibility in there that you can have that live conversation when it's time. And you can have the step in there that is purely personal. But when you do that purely personal step, that's actually a fully manual step, it actually augments and enhances all the rest of the automation, because the customer now is like, oh, I'm sorry that I didn't reply to your text. I'm sorry that I missed your email. It's been on my mind. I've just been busy doing this stuff. And it creates grounds for a more authentic conversation, a real conversation that you can have, because we shouldn't hold it against them that they didn't reply to us the times that we followed up before. They're busy. They're busy doing a bunch of stuff. That's why companies that do proper follow-up will double or triple their sales, because people are too busy to respond when we have the time to follow up with them. So what does automation do? It stacks the deck in our favor. It puts 2 or 3, 4 or 5 times more follow-ups in place so that when we actually do make that connection, it's a much more effective conversation. It is.
And I like what you said about, what they're going to do and who you're talking to. So I recently built a pipeline for a lady that does executive coaching, and they do it in cohorts. So they'll take like 10 VPs, 10 C-level people, and they'll all have one monthly coaching meeting, and then she does the individual one-on-ones with them throughout the course of the month. And so, and that's the fulfillment part of the journey. Yeah. So in the sales journey, she's obviously sending an agreement that they have to sign and, make it all official. And so from an automation standpoint, we built a sales pipeline, of course, because anything that's a high ticket that you're manually following up with people and investing that human labor, you need a pipeline, period.
Yeah.
Like that's, right there. That's a non-negotiable for me, right, kind of thing. So like what we did for an automation is when the agreement was delivered, or I think it was the proposal was delivered, there's and she does the proposal delivery manually because it's a very high touch thing. They're working with execs and CEOs of big companies. So there's only 2 automation points in the proposal sent stage. When she moved it into proposal sent, there's an immediate email that says, hey, great, I'm glad we're able to sit down and deliver the proposal. Let me know if you have any questions. Mm-hmm. The second automation didn't happen until 30 days from there. That basically says, hey, are you still thinking about it? Mm-hmm. And of course, if they moved out of proposal sent within 30 days, that wouldn't go.
Yeah.
But the reason we did that is she's working with these CEO types. They're super busy. It's longer sales cycles. And in some cases, they don't even have the budgets to do the stuff right away. Mm-hmm. And so rather than risk upsetting these people, the best that we could do from an automation standpoint was saying, listen, if they're in proposal sent for a whole month, go ahead and send a feeler out there. Hey, what are you thinking? And even the email itself was like 1 or 2 sentences. Just, hey, how you doing? I was looking at my notes. Looks like we did the proposal about a month ago. Where are you at on that?
Yeah.
And like, that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of the automation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's because that's what she would be doing anyway.
Right. Well, the way you said it was, then the second automation follows up 30 days later. And you said just real quickly, unless of course they've moved out of that. Well, that's one of the beautiful things about automation is it'll take you out of that. And so you have this backstop of automated follow-up that's happening unless it's not needed. Mm-hmm. And then it's automatically pulled out of that communication sequence. And that's part of what the beauty of what automation can do. Okay, we're going to keep this going, but first a quick message for you. Conquer the Chaos listeners, let me talk to you straight for just a minute. You're running your business and it dominates your mind. It can be very difficult to take a step back and see what's needed to create balance in your business and your personal life, and to create great growth and development and progress in your business and personal life. One of the most powerful ways to gain the perspective that you need is to get away from things and immerse yourself in an environment where you're going to be inspired, where you can see possibilities, where you can create connections, and where you can learn and grow and develop. And I know of no better place for entrepreneurs than Keap's Let's Grow Summit. For years, we ran this conference as just an amazing mecca for entrepreneurship. And then truth be told, for a few years, we didn't run it. We got back to it last year, and this year we're putting it on, and it is going to be awesome. I am so excited about this, and I want you as our listeners to not miss out on this event. It's going to be November 20th through the 22nd, downtown Phoenix, with the main days being the 21st and the 22nd. You can register for it by going to keap.com/letsgrowsummit. That's keap.com/letsgrowsummit. And you can take advantage of our early bird registration pricing, which expires the end of July. So if you are needing a reflection time, an opportunity to take a step back, gain greater perspective, inspiration, and most of all, see what automation, the fifth key to success, can do for your business, then make sure that you attend the Let's Grow Summit. Keap.com/Let's Grow Summit, November 20th through 22nd in Phoenix. I look forward to seeing you there. All right, now back to our chat. Let me ask you this. I know you hear me say all the time the fortune's in the follow-up, and and I say unabashedly, any small business that does proper follow-up can double or triple their sales. And most of the time when I say that, people are like, "Oh, come on, how can you double or triple your sales? I'm already doing all, you know." And I say, no, you practice proper follow-up and you will double or triple your sales. So I'd love to just hear, you've been practicing automation and specifically automated follow-up for years. What would you say to the skeptic that says, oh, well, I don't think I could double or triple my sales if I properly followed up? What would your response be?
Well, depending on the context of the conversation and how well we are, I may just directly be like, okay, let's go ahead and look at your numbers. How many people in your pipeline right now? Mm-hmm. When's the last time you followed up with them? Mm-hmm. Because I build pipelines all the time, and to this day, I've still never met anybody that's completely, totally on all of their people. Mm-hmm. Because again, we're human too. Right. People slip through the cracks, right? But unless you can have a system that says, here's my pipeline stages. I've got 6 new opportunities, 4 people here, 6 people in proposal sent, whatever. Yep. And this is exactly when I need to talk to them next. Mm-hmm. You're losing money. Yeah. Period. People are slipping through the cracks.
That's right.
And that takes a lot of discipline and that habit. You have to be in that rhythm of regularly keeping up on your pipeline. Yeah. And knowing when you're going to talk to somebody and why.
Right. Well, and if you go from a brand new lead through to a lifelong client. So, lead to an initial sale to longtime client. What happens is between the lead and the initial sale, there are a number of places where follow-up breaks down. Mm-hmm. And then once they become a client until they become a raving fan, there are a number of places where the follow-up breaks down. Mm-hmm. And I was provocatively making this statement to a group of people just before I wrote the book, and I got a bunch of crap for it. They're like, "Oh no, I don't believe this." And I said, "No, you do this the right way. You properly follow up." Well, what's proper follow up? Well, it's a combination of the number of times you're communicating with the media that you're using to communicate. Because if you're just sending email, that's not proper follow up. Yeah. So it's you gotta mix in text, email, voice, maybe even mail, a piece of mail, but at least three modes of communication, media of communication, with multiple touch points, with a little personality and a little realness. A little like, hey, this should be not just dry, boring, but hey, I'm interested in actually seeing what this is, with some education, some variety, some a little spice of life in there. When you do that properly, and you start to apply it from the point of the first lead, even just taking it first lead through to initial sale, there is so much gold that is left out there. And it's because people don't have the money, they don't have the time, they don't have the know-how. And money can really be solved with a system. They don't have a system, they don't have the time, they don't have the know-how. So I took the challenge in the book to say, look, I'm going to show you what this looks like. And in the book, I laid it out. I said, look, here's what proper lead follow-up looks like. And I lay out about a 15, point follow-up over the course of 45 days or so. that's a combination of emails, texts, and calls, and maybe even a postcard or letter that's dropped in there. And depending on your business, you might adjust which media you use, how frequently you're going to do it. You use an example where it might be plenty to have 3 touch points, but as long as they're very carefully crafted, they follow some of the other concepts I laid out there, it can be considered proper follow-up. But I just, I know you've seen it, I've seen it, and people fall so far short of automating their follow-up in a way that will create the fortunes. When I say the fortunes in the follow-up, they automate so far short, they fall so far short of it because they think of doing it manually. They don't have a system to do it, and they think, well, I don't know how to do this. So any thoughts? I know you've experienced this a bunch, but any thoughts that come to your mind as I share what proper follow-up looks like and how people can actually do it?
Yeah, so you make a really good point about mixing up the channel and the mode. I can't tell you how many times I've been emailing with a lead and then they just kind of stop responding, and then I'll send them a text and they'll respond right away. Oh, hey, sorry about that. I've been getting your emails, let's go ahead and chat or something like that.
Yeah.
Or I will go ahead and mix up social media engagement with people. So I'll connect with somebody either on your Facebook or LinkedIn, and I'll send them a message on Facebook.
Yep.
Hey, how's it going? Or sometimes that's where the sales conversation starts.
Right.
And that's where I house it. Somebody will bubble up on LinkedIn. Hey, I need help with this. Cool. And I'm chatting with them there. And so in my, because of course I use opportunities in my own business. I can't imagine not, I have no idea what my sales would look like.
Right.
It wouldn't be any good. I've got a custom field for the social chat. So I'm always one click away from picking that conversation up. So the CRM, in this case, Keap, is controlling the relationship, and then it's telling me what do I need to do, where do I need to go.
Yeah.
And so, oh, cool, I got to follow up with this person today, and looks like last time we wrapped was on Facebook. Cool. One click away, I'm back into Facebook Messenger. Hey, how's it going, buddy? Or how's your project coming?
Yeah.
And then falling short, that's something that I also want to highlight. Relationships aren't one and done. That's a very transactional thing, and that's just not how humans are.
Yep.
We've known each other for almost 2 decades at this point.
Yep.
And we're going to continue to know each other for a very long time. And that's how businesses work. I can't tell you how many people I've courted in my sales process for literal years before they're ready to pull the trigger and go, because life happens.
Right.
Funding falls through, or somebody gets sick, or just, hey, that project got put on ice for now. Okay, cool. I'll follow up with you in 6 months. Next action date, 6 months out, and then I just kind of forget about it. And then I do have some automation that's kind of rolling in the background. I got a long-term nurture that now this is a cool one. You want an automation strategy you can use for any business pretty much. Check this out. I have an annual, I call it a classic long-term nurture, because it's classic like how the old school salesman used to be, where they would just drive around their territories and stop in and say hello, right? So I'm doing this with automation. So I've got 9 internationally recognized holidays, because I have clients all over the world, and it's 9 emails that go throughout the course of the year, and then it repeats itself every single year. And I have an annual habit to, in January, go and rewrite those emails and just twist them and spin them a little bit. But the whole idea is still the same. I'm showing up every once in a while. Hey, how's the wife and kids? But even then, you got to be careful what you're saying. So like on Father's Day, I can't address that they're a father or that they're a parent or anything like that. So I'll usually say something, hey, it's Father's Day. It got me thinking about people that are important in my life. You're one of those people. How are you doing? And then it repeats. And as long as somebody's in my long-term nurture stage of my pipeline, they're getting that. And there's people that'll be in there for a couple of years, but they would never know, because unless they're paying attention to when the emails come in, it's always a slightly different subject line, and the messaging is always slightly different.
It's classic long-term follow-up.
It's a classic long-term nurture, yeah.
I love it. It's really great. And it's using that analogy of, the rep that's driving around their area and just checking in on people. It's a really great way to describe it. And there's all kinds of things you can do with video and stuff to make it more personal and make it feel like people are just seeing you and hearing from you. So I love that. So let's shift gears just a little bit and talk about how we've talked about mixing up the automation, the follow up, the nurture. with different media. We've talked about, some of the nuances and copywriting and how to really grab people's attention, injecting personality, variety, education. But for most business owners, they're like, wow, that's a lot for me to figure out. And if there's a place they could just go buy it and get it, they would much prefer to do that. So let's talk about pre-built solutions. Let's talk for a moment about the kinds of experiences you've had over the years of where you can just serve something up for a Keap, in this case, it's a Keap customer. They've got an app, and we can just get that automation into their app. Yet now using Solution Launchpad, we can push a whole bundle of automations in there. What experiences have you had around that, and how could you kind of simplify it for the pragmatic, practical customer that just wants to get a hold of it and start playing with it, start applying it in their business?
Well, for the person that just wants to start applying it, I would say go find somebody that's already doing it.
Yeah.
So for some reason, Robbins,
yeah,
she comes to mind for managed service providers. So for like IT folks, like if you're doing managed services, cool. She knows how to use automation.
That's right. She's packaged it all up. It's all pre-done. You don't have to worry about when do I send the follow-up and do I do this? And what about the reminder? Do I do this now? Do I do it by text? What about my email? Like all those kinds of questions, she's removed all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like go find somebody that's already doing it. Even if they're not necessarily using the exact software that you use, there's people out there that are teaching how they do it.
Right.
And that'll at least give you a leg up on where to start instead of just having that blank canvas or that blank sheet of paper where you're like, I don't know where to start.
Right.
They'll say, hey, if you're in this kind of business, then we know these specific things about it and you can get started with that. So I think about a vertical that I really, I'd love to get into because I'm a musician. I love, arts and things like that. I would love to get into doing automation for studios, like recording studios.
Yeah.
Because they have a high ticket thing that they offer.
Mm-hmm.
They have a longer sales cycle.
Right.
And the sales is always pretty much the same. You talk with the engineer and here's what we need. And then you schedule time to come into the studio, you record, and then they'll, depending on the kind of studio they are, they'll just give you the raw recordings, or they'll also do the mixing and the mastering of it as part of their services. And all those are milestones.
Yeah.
And so you can start building automation around those. So go find somebody that's done it. Because, there's almost nothing new here these days. There's just been so many kinds of businesses and so many people doing it. Somebody out there somewhere has tried it and likely found success, especially the more niche it is. If somebody's figured it out, they're nailing it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the best advice is find someone who's already doing it. This is what we've been enabling with Solution Launchpad to get more and more customers to be able to just go, oh, okay, let me grab that package, let me grab that bundle, let me get those automations. And whether they're a brand new customer and going and finding it in a vertical like you described, if you're a managed service provider, you're a coach and working with Donald Miller's Coach Builder, whether it's a new partner or new customer getting the solution, or a Keap customer who might be watching this saying, hey, well, I'd like to take advantage of some of these other things. You'll start to see more and more partners that are bundling up their solutions and making those available. It's one of the reasons why we love our annual conference, because it's where people come together and get those things and shortcut the process and start to get automation accelerated in their business. So I would love to see you do something with studios, by the way. That'd be awesome. It'd be, more and more. We've got more and more partners and savvy users who are consuming Solution Launchpad and creating these solutions for customers. But I think you said it exactly right. Start with someone who's already done it, knows it, and get that plugged into your product that way.
Yeah, because I can't recall anybody using Keap specifically for things like recording studios or anything like that. I haven't seen it. The closest I've ever seen, there's one single band, and I know a lot of bands. There's one single band that uses another CRM, and they're not even doing anything crazy, right? They'll go on tour and they'll send a couple emails. Hey, we're going to tour. We're coming to your city, right? But you know what they do at the end of every single tour? Like clockwork. They come back and they do an email promotion and say, hey, we still have tour merch left over that we didn't sell. Go buy it off of our store. Yeah. I've not seen any bands ever do that. And it's such a low-hanging fruit. You put all this investment to come up with the art and get all the merch printed and T-shirts and hats and all the stuff. And then you go on tour and you don't sell all of it. What are you supposed to do with all the stuff just sitting in a box in your studio? Well, send an email to your
Follow
list,
up.
follow up.
Right.
Yeah, follow up with them.
Yeah.
And packaging the stuff up, we're going to start to see a lot more of that. I'm working with Partiv on that. He's doing that for dentists.
Yep.
So if you're a dentist and you want to know how to do this stuff, he's been doing it for years, probably well over a decade at this point. And pretty soon he's going to have a thing that you can just pack. Oh, you're a dentist. Do you want to use Keap? Cool. Use the Partiv Shaw system.
That's right.
And it's because I'm involved in that project, I'm going to make it as plug and play as possible.
Yep.
Because that's kind of the cool thing, standing on the shoulders of giants, right? Most of these people in most industries aren't tech savvy, and that's not a slight against them, but like they're really good at what they do. Like they're the best dang dentist in the world, but they're not necessarily super tech savvy. And so by having something like the Solution Launchpad and being able to receive not only automations, but the instruction manual on how to use it, that'll help you get to value pretty much almost immediately. And if you do it right, talking about the customer experience and the relationships at scale, if you design that onboarding with that in mind, not only can you sell this solution, you can bring a bunch of people on quickly and they all have an amazing experience.
That's right. And then they can consume other automations, they can create them, but it gets them started in a way where they can get to value, get a lot of value out of automation. And I'm just so glad we had a chance to talk, because as we see partners using Solution Launchpad to create value for customers who don't want to get in and figure out all the nitty-gritty details, it's really fun to see what you guys are creating. And it'd be fun to see you do something with studios or something like that. It'd be awesome. So we had talked about potentially going into a couple of other things, but we went deep into automation, started talking about Solution Launchpad and helping people to get the real understanding of automation and what it is, and how they can maybe shortcut the whole thing by going and by getting a solution that's already built for them. So thanks for going through that. I know there are probably people who are like, hey, I'd love to dig into more of the mad scientist mind here and see what else I could apply in my business. Or how can they learn more about you if people want to know more about Paul Sokol?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about me, Paul Sokol, I am all over the internet, social media. Just search for me, Paul, Sokol. I actually just released for the first time my own mini course, which, were you there at PartnerCon when I was in the hot seat? And I was challenged to do that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I was Melody Moore and Sarah Laws and Micah. They all challenged me. They're like, hey, man, we know that you know what you're talking about. You need to release a free mini course. And so that's exactly what we did.
Great.
We released it's about 2.5 hours that explains exactly how we think about the milestones, how the pathways to get people from milestone to milestone. And it even comes with functional working Google Doc copies of the tools we use internally anytime we're building stuff out.
Awesome.
And so that's a really good place to get started. Like you said, for people that, where do I begin? It actually doesn't start in the software. In fact, that's probably one of the worst places to start. You want to just start with the customer journey.
The strategy.
What are you trying to do in the first place? And then the tools are at least like 2 or 3 layers abstracted from what the actual journey is.
Well, and that's why in the 6 keys to success on the business side, I start strategy, automation, leadership, because when you get the customer strategy right, then the automation starts to follow very, very naturally. But when people jump straight into the software and they don't get the strategy part right, it can cause all kinds of challenges for them. So I love that you called that out and reinforced that point. I make all the time. Software plus strategy plus services equals success.
Oh, yeah. It's like trying to build a house. Like, you wouldn't just start breaking ground and building a house unless you had like a plan, like an architect, because there's so many things that you can be missing. And unfortunately, a lot of people do that with their automation. They'll just get in there and they'll just start building stuff out.
Right.
And forget that high level 10,000 foot. Why am I even doing this in the first place? And should I even do it?
Yeah.
That's another thing too. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Getting back to what we spoke at the very beginning, if you wouldn't do it in real life, don't automate it, because you're just going to get weirdness at scale.
It's just weirdness at scale. I love it. Well, the relationships at scale makes so much sense. I love that you shared that. It was fun to go deep on automation, talk with Paul Sokol about some of the things that he's done over the years, but in particular, the things he's doing now to make automation packaged up and accessible for people that just want to get a solution, which I think is most pragmatic users. They don't want to have to go build all this stuff. They just want to go get it and start applying it so they can get the benefits of growth and profit and freedom. And that's one thing I want to just, as we wrap up, all of this is about growing. The whole point of the 6 keys to success is balanced growth in your business and personal life. Growth, like we want to grow, and that's what automation does. It makes possible. So thank you for going deep with us on this. It's been a super fun episode of the Conquer the Chaos podcast, and I appreciate all the years of work that you've done in automation in and around our community, what we call Keap Nation. Appreciate what you continue to do. I know I'm looking forward to our event in November, bringing together a whole bunch of people working on growing their business with automation, and I'll look forward to seeing you there. So thanks for being here today, Paul.
Thanks for having me, Clayt. It's been a blast.
You bet. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on this episode of the Conquer the Chaos podcast. Until the next episode, keep growing. Thanks so much for listening. Subscribe right here on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app to make sure that you don't miss a single episode of the Conquer the Chaos podcast. And hey, if you like this episode, let's get this out to more entrepreneurs. We all know that it is not easy to grow a great business and a great life. And so let's get this message out to others. Make sure that you hit the like button, that you comment, and that you share it with others so that we can help other entrepreneurs build a great business and a great life as they conquer the chaos. Keep going, keep serving, and keep growing.